students, I'm really happy to be with all of you online on this fine morning. Today's class is for 3 classes, that is classes 8, 9 and 10. And I have taken a combined class today because the topic that we are going to discuss, today is concerned with all these 3 classes, and that is finite and non-finite verbs. Finite and non-finite verbs. What is finite? First, you must understand the meaning of the word finite and then non-finite. The word finite means limited, confined, having a boundary. That is the meaning of finite. That means it is decided. The word non-finite means they don't have any boundary, or they don't confine themselves to a particular boundary or a particular area. So they are non-finite, having no boundaries, having no limitations. Now, what does finite and non-finite in English grammar mean? What do they mean? Well, that is today's class all about. First of all, let's begin with this so that we may understand what a finite verb is. Look at the first sentence, I go. Look at the next one, he goes. And look at the third one, we go. So I go, he goes, and we go. Can you find any difference here? With I, it is go. With he, it is not go, but goes. And with we, again, it is go. Supposing if I say I goes, let me make a sentence like this. Do you think the sentence will be okay? Definitely not. It's not correct because the verb does not agree with the subject. So, to make a meaningful sentence, the verb and the subject are important, and the verb must agree with the subject. That is the most important thing. The verb and the subject must go together. Only then a meaningful sentence is obtained. Otherwise, the sentence goes grammatically wrong. So, I go, he goes, we go. And here if you see, the main verb changes. The main verb changes. With I it is go, but with he it goes. So we can say the verb agrees with the subject. The right verb is used with the right subject, therefore the verb agrees with the subject. Remember this, the verb has to agree with the subject. Only then the meaning becomes clear. Now, since these verbs change according to the subject, I repeat, these verbs change according to the subjects, therefore, these verbs have a limitation. They cannot go beyond their limit. They cannot cross their boundary. Therefore, they are finite. They are limited. And it has been finalized that the subject takes a verb according to its person. So when the verbs are finalized, when the verbs are fixed, obviously they become finite verbs. But look at this. I want to go, he wants or she wants to go, we want to go. I want to go, she wants to go, we want to go. Now if you look at these 3 sentences, you see in all the 3 sentences, we have this to go, to go. To go is repeated, which means to plus the first form of the verb is used. As all of us know, every verb has 4 forms. For example, if you take the verb go, go, goes, then went, gone, going. Go, went, gone, going, and for the third person singular, es is added, G-O-E-S. Now, to plus V1, I want to go. If you notice these 3 sentences very carefully, you can come to understand the verb to go. I mean the infinitive. 2 plus V1 is known as the infinitive, and the infinitive does not change. The infinitive remains the same in all the 3 sentences. So, it is not like this. I go and he goes. But it is I want to go and she wants to go. So, to go has no change. Therefore, they have no limitation. They don't show the tense. They don't show the tense. They have no relation with the tense. So, the form does not change, and therefore they are known as non-finite. So, infinitive is a non-finite. But all the be verbs, is, am, are, was, were, have, has, do, does, did, these verbs change according to the subject. So, they are finite verbs. But infinitive does not change its shape according to the subject. Let the subject be whatever it is. Let the subject be whatever it is. But the verb, that is the final form, infinitive, does not change. Therefore, 2 plus V1, that is infinitive, is a part of the non-finites. Is a part of the non-finites. So, verbs which do not change their forms are non-finites. And non-finites are also called as verbals. They are known as verbals. So, coming back to the point that we started from, verbs which change their forms according to the subject are known as finite verbs, and verbs that do not change their forms according to the subject are known as non-finites. Now, there is one more. Look at this. They are watching a film. They are watching a film. She has just watched a film. Look at the 2 sentences very carefully. So, if you look at the 2 sentences, you will find one thing in common, that is this one. You see, they are watching a film. She has just watched a film. So the verb watching and watched, these are the verbs to be noted. Now, they are watching a film. If I change the subject they into she, let's say she is watching a film. Instead of saying they are watching a film, if I remove this verb they and replace it with she, then she is watching a film. But watching, that does not change. He is watching a film. They are watching a film. We are watching a film. So he is followed by his, they is followed by are, and we is again followed by are. So is and are, they are finite verbs. But watching, that verb does not change. He is watching a film. She is watching a film. It does not change. Watching, which is a present participle. So what is a present participle? A verb with its ing form is known as a present participle. I repeat, a verb with its ing form is known as a present participle. And I remind you, present participles and past participles, they are not affected by the subject. They have no relation with the subject. Whatever the subject may be, they remain the same. She has watched a film. Watched V3 is there. You have watched a film. After have again watched. So whether it is he or she or they, the finite verb changes, but the past participle does not change. Keep this in mind. So participles, whether it is a present participle or a past participle will not change its form according to the subject. So participles are also a part of non-finites. So as I have just discussed, infinitives, they are part of the non-finites. Participles, they are also part of the non-finites. And what is a participle? The V3 form and the V4 form of a verb. For example, eat. Eat is present, ate is past, eaten is past participle, and eating is present participle. So eaten and eating, V3 and V4, they become part of the non-finites. The participles become a part of the non-finites. Keep this in mind. Now we come to the third part, gerunds. What is a gerund? Look at this sentence. There are two sentences. Swimming is a good exercise. I am swimming. So there are two sentences. The first one is swimming is a good exercise. Second one is I am swimming. Let us start with the second one so that you may have some clarity. I am swimming. So am is a finite verb because am always limits itself to I. So am is a finite verb and swimming. I am swimming. This is the V4 form of swim, that is the present participle. So I am swimming. Here it is a participle. How can I say that it is a participle? Because it follows the helping verb am. So I am swimming. Swimming is a present participle. V4. Here it is a participle. But look at the first sentence. Swimming is a good exercise. Now here also we have the same form, the participle, but it comes at the beginning of the sentence. And the helping verb comes after the participle. So here this is the subject of the sentence. Swimming is a good exercise. What is a good exercise? Swimming is a good exercise. So swimming does the work of a subject. It is a noun and it is also a verb. So swimming does the work of the noun as well as the verb. It plays a double role here. It functions as a verb as well as a noun. Therefore it is a verbal noun. I repeat, verbal noun. So a verbal noun is known as a gerund. What is a gerund? A gerund is that form of a verb which functions as the noun, as a noun and a verb. It has two functions. It is a part or it is a form of a verb. It's a form of a verb which does the role of a noun as well as a verb. So all verbal nouns are known as gerunds. Remember, all verbal nouns are known as gerunds. I'll give you one more example. Cycling is a good exercise. Cycling is a good exercise. What is a good exercise? Obviously, cycling is a good exercise. Cycling comes in the beginning of the sentence. ING with cycle is cycling. But cycling does the work of a verb as well as a noun. It is a verbal noun. Therefore, a gerund. Now, sometimes the gerund can come after a preposition. I am fond of eating rasagullas. I am fond of eating rasagullas. Of is a preposition. After the preposition, you have a verb with ing. I am fond of eating. I am fond of teaching English. I am fond of reading novels. So when ing comes after a preposition, remember that is a gerund. It is a gerund. So gerunds are verbal nouns and they are part of the non-finites. If you can understand these two concepts today, I think you will have a fairly good knowledge about finite and non-finites. So before I wind up, let me give you a gist of what we discussed today. A gist. When the verb changes its form according to the subject, it has a limit. And those verbs which change according to the subject are known as finite verbs because their role is limited. They show the tense. But opposite two finite verbs is the non-finites. So how can I say that a verb is finite or non-finite? I have to see the function. I have to see whether it is a participle or a gerund or an infinitive. So verb forms which do not change according to the subject but remain the same, they are known as non-finites. You see, I want to go, I am to go, she wants to go, she had to go. To go does not change. Therefore, infinitives and participles. He is swimming. She is swimming. They are swimming. So participles do not change according to the subject. They are also part of non-finites. Infinitives, participles, and gerunds. When a sentence does the function of a verb as well as a noun, when it becomes a verbal noun, it is known by the word gerund. So what is a gerund? A gerund is nothing but a verbal noun. It can act as a subject. It can take after or come after a preposition. I am fond of eating sweets. So this is how the finites and non-finites are defined, and this is the function of the finites and non-finites. So I think with this we can wind up today's class. Tomorrow I will be giving you more examples on gerunds. And we will also discuss how to differentiate between a participle and a gerund, because the most common problem that students face is to identify a gerund from a participle, or to distinguish between a participle and a gerund. So how do you do that? It depends on the functioning of the word. So how does the word function? Accordingly, we define it as a gerund or a participle. We shall discuss those things in tomorrow's class. Till then, you keep these two concepts in mind, the finite verbs and the non-finite. So till we meet again, stay safe and goodbye.